Okay, good cold morning, everybody. Welcome to the Gradebook Roundtable. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I will keep my eye on people who are still popping in. Okay. Here is the agenda. We have 13 things we're going to talk a little bit about today between Bethany and I. I'm hoping I don't talk too fast, but it shouldn't take the whole hour, we hope. But if it does, that's fine too. Here are our 14 things that we're going to kind of talk about today. The first thing is you may have noticed that it is just us today. There is not a student information dazzle meeting after us. The reason why our team kind of decided to do this was because right now in December, Bethany and I, we don't have a lot of information yet about what is coming up in Gradebook, usually until after the holidays. A lot of times in December, our student information team, they have things that they need to talk about with civil rights, and they want to get that out before the holidays. So this is the only roundtable that we're going to kind of go off on our own a little bit. We're going to plan on doing this in this time frame going forward in January, depending upon when we get the information about our release. It may be bumped a couple weeks, maybe early February, but we're going to wait until after the holidays, till everybody's back to have our winter roundtable. So we know there were some questions like, why are you guys having it here? We just decided that we were going to let the student information team have that December. We were going to kind of come and just do a quick hour here in the winter, because then that way we have more information about things that we need to discuss. So going forward, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming, but in our winter, we're going to kind of separate from the student information team for a while. I want to talk about the enhancements that we have already seen in the 24.1 release that came out in the fall. So I just want to remind people, you've already seen these, but I like to let everybody know that this is what happened since we last spoke. They did fix a report card entry. I feel like they called this an enhancement, but to me, it's really a bug fix. But before, if your teachers went in to input grades and they selected a grade level filter. So for instance, if they only wanted to put in maybe seniors grades, when they did that and they picked 12 and they clicked show all students, it still gave you all of the grade levels anyway. This has now been fixed. So now at this point, when they do pick a certain grade level, it will show you just that grade level. So that was something that was fixed in the 24.1 release. They called it an enhancement, but it was a fix. The other resolved issue we had is something with daily attendance. So previously on the daily attendance screen, if you have teachers that may have grouped classes together and they put multiple classes in one class group, if they took attendance from that group, it would say that attendance has not been taken in all of those other single classes, when really it had been taken. It was just taken from that group. So this was something that was resolved as well. So now if you take attendance, if your teachers take attendance from that grouped class, it should show you that they have taken attendance in all of those single classes. So this was a resolved issue as well. It would only pertain to those teachers who may use those grouped classes that feature group classes together. So that is what happened in the fall. Now upcoming in our January release, which we should have here in a few weeks, they will be adding the role and staff code when we transfer staff activity. So this is something that probably pertains more to admins who may be deleting that gradebook staff record or maybe transferring activity to another staff. If a staff member has multiple job functions in student information, so we have to kind of think about when we have that user added and we go in and we say they're a teacher, or no, they're a principal, or they're a secretary. If they have multiple roles, so maybe you're a school admin, but you also have the principal role, When we go to transfer activity now, what it's going to do is it's going to show us that role of that particular person. So this way, maybe if a teacher also has principal access for some reason, and we're trying to transfer that activity, we know to transfer it to their teacher record and not their principal record. So this is a late January release enhancement that's coming up, pertains more to our administrators who would be doing this type of work when we're in our gradebook cleanup meetings. This is pertaining to this. So this is one that probably will make Bethany and I really happy, but maybe not your teachers because they don't even know that this happens. But this is an enhancement that is coming. The next enhancement is we have had some tickets about this. They have fixed some radio button functionality on various reports that were not working properly. So this was kind of hit and miss on some of those classic reports. So when you would go in and you maybe try to run a student progress report or a class progress report, you would pick certain things on the radio buttons. And then when you ran it, you didn't get what you wanted. And when you went back, it was marked as something else. And anytime you would click on something, it would revert something else. So after this next release coming up, all of those little radio button oddities should be fixed and all of the reports should be functioning properly. The next thing that will also happen is an update to absence types and student information will now come over to GradeBook. So how this works in the past is absence types are automatically coming over every night. So if you add a new absence type, it comes over to GradeBook. But absence reasons were not. So for whatever reason that is, they did not have that nightly integrated. Now that will happen. So if you add an absence reason inside of student information, you know, you can see some choices here that I showed you in the screenshot, hospital, medical. Now it will come over and update the absence reason screen in GradeBook, just like it does the types. So what this may fix is if someone has added a reason in student information, if they didn't add it in GradeBook, teachers, when they clicked on a student name and were looking at that list of absence types, may not have been seeing that new reason. And now after the next release, these will be updating every night, just like types. So those should come over and everything should show accurately, just like it shows in student information. The next thing, and I don't have a screenshot for this because they just kind of told me about it. We have our meeting on this next week, but they're adding another add an assignment button. This will make 3 places. So I kind of just took liberty to kind of design it myself. So it may not look like this because I don't have a screenshot yet, but they told me that they're going to add an assignment in the upper right corner of the class dashboard screen. So you can see that I assume it's over here. So that's going to make 3 places that a teacher can click to add an assignment. They can do it underneath the assignments and marks, add an assignment. They can do it underneath their assignment listing, add an assignment, and there will be a new link that will say add an assignment there as well. They just wanted to make it a little more visible. So when we have a screenshot of that, you'll see it when we release those notes, when we put up that release, but that is what is coming. So I just kind of designed that myself. I'm sure it'll look much better than that without the smiley face, of course. But that is where they told me that it was going to go. This is one that we also had a ticket on this. This is something that Jen had a ticket on not too long ago. They have updated the report card publisher service to create a more complex file name. So this way, maybe wrong report cards won't get attached to the wrong student. So we actually had a ticket. This stemmed from a NeoNet issue where somehow this student showed this report card that wasn't theirs. So after searching and searching and then working on that ticket, they realized that it was in the naming convention of how they name these files that they're posting to the vault. And they have made this a little more complex, so that should not happen anymore. So this was kind of a result of something that we saw. I had never seen this happen before. Bethany, I don't know if you guys had it before then or not. but we had it in one instance this fall on a ticket that Jen had. So that should not happen anymore. And I can't even remember the district that it was, but it should not happen anymore. So they have that coming in the next release as well to kind of keep that from happening in the future. Oh, I don't want to end show. We're going to go next. So now we come to the defects. So we're going to go over some of the defects that have come up since our last roundtable in the fall. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to kind of go over them really quickly. So some of the defects are the gradebook allows staff records to be deleted that have assignment types that are being used in this school year. So that is something that we have had here. We've kind of had some instances where it's allowed us to delete staff members and they have assignment types still that they're using. So this is something that we reported as a defect. It has made the enhancement list and they are looking at that. They also, this really should be on their request, but they had a change that the timestamp on the school term end dates be changed to 11:59 instead of midnight. So we all know kind of that little caveat when we're opening up those grade entry screens, that it is at midnight. So when you say, hey, I want them to enter grades through the end of the 22nd, then you want to make sure that you are putting 11:59 p.m. because if you put the next day, it shuts right at midnight. So that whole next day it's closed. So this is a defect. They're listing it as a defect that they want that to be to the end of the day, not the beginning of the day. So once again, when we talk about defects, when we talk about enhancements, if there's anything that you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this needs to happen, make sure you let Bethany and I know either by a ticket or email, and we can then, relay that to Frontline so that they know that these particular districts really want this to happen. That kind of moves it up the list a little bit. The gradebook and eligibility report was showing withdrawn and inactive students in classes. So that is a current defect that they are looking at. Students able to see attendance comments and parent access, even if the district settings were shown not to show them. So that's a defect that they're looking at as well. Ones that I have bold with the asterisk, this means that those are being corrected. So we've already kind of talked about these two that are bold in the enhancements. So those will be coming in the next release. We also had a defect for gradebook switching classes. So if you are a standards-based grading scale and then you go back to a default, we're unable to share those assignments. So that is something that they're looking at as well. That last one there, the report card not populated with attendance marks with no existing student report marks records. I was like, I don't know what this is. So I kind of contacted them, and this was just an instance where it's the very first grading period. And if a teacher goes in and has not put a grade in yet, they have not put a grade in the inner report card screen, occasionally those attendance totals weren't coming over. So this is something that they're looking at. It just happened a few times at the beginning of the year. It tends to only happen that very first grading period. So this is something that they are looking at. As soon as a teacher enters a grade, a mark on the report card, then those attendance totals come over that next day. But this is something that they have on the defect list to look at. That attendance should total if they have a grade in the inner report card screen or not. So that is something that they are looking at. Next are our enhancements. So once again, if you see one of these that you're really passionate about, let us know. Once again, most of these are self-explanatory. I will talk briefly about one that I think needs a little more explanation. The requesting for a report card entry screen to display only the templates associated with a custom setup 2 class. What this means is a lot of times, and we have this happen quite a bit, when a teacher goes in to post their grades on the report card, if they have multiple report cards for that grade level or in that building, they will show in that drop down in the upper right-hand corner by where it says RPT. So what this enhancement wants to do is if I am set up to be a standards-based grade card, it only wants to show that particular report card, not have the others listed there. So that is an enhancement that they have requested. Also, there's been a request for the student average to show on the class dashboard so that you can see that right away without needing to hover on that. There is also a enhancement request to auto delete staff on classes once they're deleted in student information. We also have this quite a bit as well. When a new staff member is hired and, you know, we have it to where, hey, on the grade card, it's still showing this old teacher. Why is it doing that? Well, because once we integrate and once that teacher is attached in GradeBook, then what it is doing is it is showing that teacher all the time. Okay, so we have to go in, we have to delete that staff member. They are asking for this to be automatically done so that we don't have to do that.
Use the white strips.
Okay, so that is the enhancement request for that particular one. The next one is the assignment mark screen check all button. What is this? That was my question. What's this mean?
Hey, Leslie.
Yes.
I think you got to reshare your screen. I'm sorry.
Oh, nope. No, hold on.
Sorry. I muted and we lost your screen. There
Okay.
you go.
Is it back?
Nope. Go ahead and try it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, nope. Hold on just 1 minute.
You were on a roll too, so I apologize.
It's all right. I'm going to go back in and here.
Yep. There you go. Thank you.
There we go. Okay. So this one, 418, I was not sure what it was. So I said, what does this even mean? So after I asked, they said that they wanted a select all so that they could exclude. And I said, well, you can do that with the right mouse click. Well, here after much conversation, they said that that exclude all did not work on the grid. So that was the enhancement request. So then when I went in and tested it, they were right. It works on the assignment screen. When you go to the mark screen, that works where you right mouse click and you can say, I want everybody to be excluded, but it does not work on the grid. So they are going to change the wording of that 418 and probably move it to the bug list because it's just not working. It should work. So that is what that one is. Just right now, it's in the wrong place. There was also a enhancement request to add a needs corrections column to the left of the late column on the mark screen. I'm not sure the thinking on this one either, but it is on the enhancement screen. So if this was something that you, that you put in or that you think is important, let us know. I assume that this just is a reminder for the teachers that maybe they need to go in and change grades on that. Even though if, you have our little symbols there letting us know if something's blank. So those were some of the enhancements that came over since our last fall roundtable. And like I said, if you have anything that you're passionate about, let us know. We can share that with Frontline so that they can maybe move that forward a little bit. Now, the next two things, I have two top tickets, and some of us are already through our semester. Some of us are just now ending our semester, and some have our semester postponed because of this lovely weather. So some of these things, some of you may have already lived through, but I always want to take just a few moments to talk about it. So these were our top two tickets for this time. The first thing is this was a bug that was fixed over the summer. Last year, when we submitted elementary report cards, we didn't have to really select anything because it printed everything anyway. It didn't matter what I selected, it printed every grading period. Now they fixed that in the summer release. So what happens now is if you want it to print, you have to click the box. This caught several people off guard this last grading period and even first grading period, because if you have those kindergarten letter boxes where it's maybe open all year, or you have all year and they're marking those, if you do not mark it when you go to run those grade cards, it will not print. So we had several tickets, several calls, several emails. Hey, you know, our all year, our letters aren't showing. And it's because when that secretary or principal ran that report card, they did not select that box. So don't forget, last year it printed it no matter what. And secretaries were like, I've never had to check that before. Well, you didn't last year because it was broken, but then they fixed it. And now you do have to check that all year box. So remember, this is coming. This has happened already with our kindergarten ones. But once we get to the end of the year, when it comes to our final marks, if you're in elementary and you collect those final marks, when you print that final report card, and we will remind you of this in the spring meeting as well, you're going to have to check that final box in order for it to print. So that was a ticket that we had quite a few questions on. It was fixed. Make sure you're clicking everything that you want to print. The next top ticket is our new semester in hidden students. And like I said, many of you have already lived through this. Some of you may just be getting to it. But just remember, the way that the software works is because that new semester hasn't started yet on the student's schedule. If your new semester was not supposed to start until January 21st, then they're not going to show in that class unhidden until January 21st, because that is the first day on the student schedule that they are to start that class. So what happens is those students are actually hidden in that second semester class. So you can see here in this example, we have an advanced PE. Right now we're in the plus sign. This class has not started yet. We do not have Q3. But when I go to look, when I go and I click on update roster as a teacher, I can see all these kids are in here and they're hidden. As a teacher, once I go in and unhide them, they will remain unhidden for me. So they will stay there. I can see them. So we've had a lot of tickets. Why aren't my second semester students showing? They're not showing, or some are showing and some aren't. Well, some may be showing if their schedule was just recently changed, but others are hidden. So that is something that's just the way the software works. We've reminded a lot of people about it. They have to go in and unhide. Also, kind of with the same ticket, if your teachers hid their second semester courses in GradeBook because they didn't want to see them, they also have to unhide those as well. So those are just two tickets that we've had quite a bit of tickets on those. We've had quite a bit of questions about them. And I do like to cover our top tickets just because those seem to be the most recently asked questions, or the most common questions we get asked. Okay, and now I think I'm going to rest my voice for a second, and it's Bethany's turn to talk about her favorite GIF, the bill.
Yeah, so House Bill 33. We just want to do a reminder to everyone that now your assessment scores are available on Parent Access to comply with House Bill 33. So with that, I think my little bill that I work to copy and paste on here is a classic. It'll probably go away after that. But we just want to remind you that that is something that's available. It was checked by default. If you are not using your Parent Access, these months, January, February, are always excellent months to work on getting your Parent Access keys out to your parents, so that you can be in compliance with House Bill 33. Just want to remind you that when you do that, that's all going to pull from your student information. So you definitely, if you're the GradeBook admin, will need to be in contact with your SIS person to make sure that you have that. We do have several assessments to change the way that House Bill 33 looks in Parent Access to include descriptions and more information if possible. But we want to make sure that you do know that those can be selected in-district options on which scores you do show. So if you are showing scores, this is something you might want to look into and work with your student information person to make sure that you're showing all of the test scores that are available. All right, Leslie, I hope you
All
took a
right.
drink. You're up.
Yeah, I got a drink. Thank you, Bethany, and we love our bill. So, but hopefully we don't have to talk about it too much anymore. At this time of year, we always like to cover schedule updates. We get a lot of questions about this too. So at this time of year, we always like to give this little remove versus drop versus transfer, how do all of these work in student information? And this is a student information thing, but it also affects GradeBook as well. So just make sure at this point in the year, if you have a student who may be changing periods, you know, maybe they were in third period Algebra 1 and now they're going to fifth period Algebra 1, transfer is your friend. What that does is it transfers those grades that have already been given in that previous period to that new class. So just keep in mind that when your student information person does this on the student schedule and they do the transfer, at this point, it is only taking those overall grades from the first and second 9 weeks. So it is taking the B+ and the A-. It is not taking all of those individual assignments. We're going to talk about that next. But this process kind of shows you, here is how we remove, how we transfer, how we drop, and what this does in student information, as well as how it's going to show on the grade card. So we always like to give this little grid that we find very helpful, and our student information team can help you through any questions that you have about this as well. But once we do that transfer, those individual assignments, that's another step. And that is done through our transfer student marks. We send this out quite a bit too. We send out this, here's how to do it. This can kind of be a little clunky sometimes for a teacher. So if you have issues doing it, an admin or a teacher can do it. If you have issues with this, put in a ticket. Bethany and I can walk you through it. There's a few little catches. The tool does kind of walk the teacher or the staff member through how to do it. It will say, here's what I can do for you. It checks on several things. One of the biggest things that you need to make sure is you have to make sure that the students are unhidden in both of the classes. They're unhidden from the class that they are initially were in, and they're unhidden in the class that they're going to. They have to be available for that stuff to be transferred. They can't be hidden. And we also have to make sure that assignments are shared between those two classes. So like I said, back to my algebra, if I'm Algebra 1 and I have a third period and a fifth period, chances are my assignment types match, my assignments are shared. So then that's going to transfer very smoothly. But if my student is leaving my third period class and going to Bethany's fifth period algebra class, we may have our gradebook set up differently. So it will do different things based on how that student is moving and how those gradebooks were set up. So if you have any questions with that, let us know. Once again, this is another step. This is like the second phase. Those overall grades get done in student information. But when we want to move assignments, we have to do it through the student transfer marks utility that's in GradeBook. We always like to take some time to remind you about report cards. We will also do this in the spring as well when we talk about our integration. But we want to let you know that all new report card designs must be submitted to Neonet by July 1st. It's very simple. Just put in a help desk ticket, which I'm going to talk about later. Put in a help desk ticket, say, here's our changes, attach an attachment showing us your changes. Bethany and I tag those for our summer projects. We have those tickets, we go in, we split them up, we start working on them. So start thinking about those changes and even grading scales. If you know maybe a grading scale change is coming as well, when you're thinking about it, put in that ticket and let us know. We don't mean to be nasty about this one, but quite honestly, once August comes, Bethany and I are pretty much busy until November. When we get those in September, oh, hey, forgot to tell you, we need this done. We really try to be nice about it, but we just don't have the time to invest on big, huge report card changes. That's what we do in the summer. So make sure if you feel that you are having some gradebook changes coming up with your report card, start that conversation now. Get that to us before July 1st, and then we can guarantee that we have those ready to go for you at the start of the new school year. You'll hear this again in the spring meeting because we'll drive it home again, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is kind of why we do it. We take July, which is a slower month because you guys are all at home. We take that month and we work on those report cards because we have the time to do it then. Bethany, is there anything you want to add on that one?
I would love to. And the one thing I wanted to say is if you get those report cards to us now, we can actually start working on those now to get approval. Last summer, we had a couple districts which sent them to us. We sent them over to approval. And unfortunately, no one approved them. And then they were activated because of integration. So we had a lot of problems with that because they weren't actually approved, but then they were completed with the integration. So then elementary buildings had standards in their grade book that the teachers didn't use. We also had a district where they allowed the card to be approved, but it was not approved by the actual person who should have been approving it. She had sent an email and saying, yeah, whatever they want. Well, what they wanted wasn't an overall mark, which ended up causing a lot of problems. So I just want to reiterate that yes, our report card changes are due by July 1, but if you get those over to us, we are more than happy to start working with you. But if you do have report cards that are sitting out there and need to be done at some point, even though you'll be enjoying your summer, we're going to need you to look at those prior to integration. And that's extremely important because we don't want the integration to happen and the report cards not be where you want them to be. So I just want to remind everyone to please think about these. It's time to start having that conversation with your principals and making sure that everything's done the way it is. And Leslie is absolutely correct. August and September is a madhouse. And to have the opportunity to go in there and make those corrections and go back and forth, it's just very, very time consuming. And it's really on the fly, which is not probably the best way you want us to handle that. So I would just appreciate it at this point if anybody went and said, hey, kind of what's going on with report cards and just get a feeler out. Okay, thank you so much.
100% agree with everything she said, especially those standards-based elementary report cards. If they're wrong when we integrate, it's just a mess that we all have to clean up and endure. So, especially those, get a head start on those for sure. So when we are integrating for the next school year, those we know are correct. Just a little reminder about our grade entry screen, our report card dates, what we have to open up. Like I said, some of you have already lived through this, but you're going to live through it again at the end of the year. Make sure if you are collecting multiple grades, if I have a semester grade, if I have an exam, if I have a final, if I have that open all year for my kindergarten kiddos, that I am opening those buckets. This is something that sometimes we miss. We get a lot of tickets on, hey, we can put in a final, but I can't put in my exam. And it's because that grade window has not been open. That bucket's not been open. So here's your little screen, just reminding you where that is. Principal role also can do this as well as a school admin role, but just make sure that you are remembering at semester end and year end, especially if you are collecting multiple grades, we need to make sure that those buckets are open, and we need to make sure that we have that published date to the grid that shows on Parent Access as well. That published date kind of shows that first screen with that Excel-ish looking grid of grades. If you have that date there, then that is when that will open up too. We also always like to share our teacher entry screen. And when we send out the notes to this training, this session, we'll always send our little handouts as well too. Just a few reminders for teachers who are entering report cards. Most of your staff have done it already for the first 9 weeks, but we know sometimes subs come in, and long-term subs, they may be needing to do things like this on the fly. So we always do like to give our little screen with our report card teacher entry, and it will also be added as a handout in the follow-up email when we send out that this PowerPoint with our notes too. Okay, finalizing and vaulting your report cards. We have done this a lot the past couple weeks. We always have our little handout here as well too, showing how those elementary report cards are done, as well as how our R700 for our middle school and high school, and some elementaries also have that type of report card, how those are posted as well. Make sure that you are getting this done if your building is using parent access and your district is counting on you to post these grades. But also there are a lot of reasons that you should do this every report card, even if maybe your parents aren't actively in there a lot. For comments, for record retention, for withdrawals. Even if my parents aren't looking at them, I can go in, I can do this process so that they show in that vault, and I can easily, even as a staff member, go back and look for those report cards. So, maybe consider doing this, even if you're not a parent access pro user and your district may not use it a whole lot. There are other values to it as well. For the most part, things are working okay. We did have a little hold up the other day where we kind of had a lot of stuff going, and at times it can be slow. So keep that in mind. Don't panic right away. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time. Our student information team helps you through those R700 ones. I've sent tons of them to people to look at. So if you have any questions or any problems with doing that, let us know. This elementary report card publish, Bethany and I sit in on a meeting, and Jen not too long ago with Frontline about some things that they're trying to do to make this process a little less clunky. So maybe in the future that might change up a little bit. So when we know more, we'll let you know. But that is something that they are looking at, trying to streamline this a little bit more as well. Year-end reports. I always like to remind our admin, those who have school admin role, about the year-end reports and where you can find them. Those can be found on the administrator homepage down in the lower right-hand corner where it says year-end reports. So I can click on that. I can go, I can find my district. You'll see my example here is Barberton. I can then look for that particular report, that year-end report that I want. Class progress, period attendance, or student progress. So those with that school administrator access can view these year-end reports. On the next slide here, I kind of show you what these look like. Once you select a report that you want to see, so for instance, in this screenshot, I said I want to look at a student progress report. Notice it will show me, well, what school year do you want? So I always give this little note. Oddly, it's kind of like an underscore and then 4-digit year underscore 2-digit year. So it's kind of weird. So then once you kind of catch on to that, you can then say, oh, well, I need it from 22-23, and you can type that in the school year box. You can search by last name, you can search by first name, you can search by school name. You can see there that then it will display, okay, here's this kiddo's student progress report. I want to view that PDF. So this will allow you to see past year information. There are multiple years that these reports have been ran. Through the years, we have had some issues with these year-end reports. Knock on wood, we hope they have those straightened out. Hit and miss, there's a couple years where some things, kind of we've looked for things, at least here in some of my schools, and they not been there. But for the most part, the last couple years, this is something Kathy kind of took care of. She went and made sure that those were run for us and that those were out there. So just a reminder that these are there. If you need information from the past school year, those year-end reports should be able to give you what you need. This is just down for us people down here in the South. It's still cold in the South as well, but the Heartland people have 2 new report builder reports that are showing for you. They have asterisks. You can kind of see there in my little yellow. The neonet schools have had these for a while, but these are new to us. Down here, there is a student failing by building and a student failing by grade level. So these two new reports have been added. You should see them. You should be able to run them. So this is a report that will show students in danger of failing. So what this does is it looks in GradeBook and it finds, we can type in what percentage we want below that, and it will show us those students. So on the next screen, you can kind of see what it looks like. It's going to show you the course name and the student, the ID. It's going to show you here's reporting period Q2. And right now at this point, you know, this student has below a 72. Here they are, here's the classes, here's their points. So this is what it looks like. You can export it to Excel or to a PDF to print out. So hopefully, Heartland, down here, you find these reports as useful as they have up north. Eventually in the future, we'll begin to add more of these. We also now have a report builder committee here in the state where several of us are on this committee, and we start talking about reports we want built, and then they'll start sharing them with us as well. So this is an area that will grow a little bit. Neonet has had these reports for a while, and we're kind of starting to trickle down some of the ones that we really feel are useful in the Southern Heartland schools as well. So those are new for you guys. At the Heartland location, you'll see those in your drop down. If you have any questions on how to run them, just put in a ticket, reach out, and let us know. So another thing that is coming soon, many of us, maybe in the past, you know, Bethany and I have been around for a long time. We're not going to tell you how long because it makes us feel old, but we've been around a long time. Back in the day, several of us may have used the lesson plan module, but as time has gone on, people have kind of trickled off of that. And there's been good reason that you have. But the lesson plan module is now being rewritten, and Frontline is currently looking for teachers or buildings that may want to try it out. So this is something that we feel is coming in the next release, but we have to turn it on per district. So it's not something that's going to show right away. It's still kind of in the introduction phases of this new rewrite. So let us know if you're interested, or if you have a teacher who may, you know, you may have that random teacher who still uses that old version of the lesson plans. The updated version will be available to be turned on in the coming months. It is something we can turn on for your district if you have certain staff that want to use that. So we will have more information about this coming soon. This has just been kind of shared with us the past month that this is going to be happening. So, you know, just keep that on your radar. If there's anybody that wants to use that or turn that on for your teachers, put in a ticket or let Bethany and I know, and we can get that as soon as we can. The next thing that was involved in a discussion that we had a couple weeks ago is they are going to add eventually a teacher side navigation. So what that means is when I click on GradeBook, it's going to pop up kind of like the screenshot you see here. And they're going to have what they call a top 10 quick access menu items. So you can see there on the left, this was kind of the top 10 that Frontline kind of toyed with as far as what they feel that the teachers may use a lot. You'll notice over on the right, this is kind of Neonet's votes, what Bethany and I, mostly Bethany took the lead on this one, came up with as far as what we feel that teachers that we provide services to use the most. So you can see their top 10, you can see Neonet's top 10. This is something that will be coming in the future. They have reached out to us for feedback on, you know, what do you feel is a quick access menu item that your teacher would like. So this is something that, you know, think about. If you look at our list and you're like, you know, what would really be great on there is this. Let Bethany or I know, put in a ticket, and we can share that with the Frontline team. This is something that they are researching and that they're going to talk about more here in the future that's going to be coming in a future release. So some mobile app updates for parent access. If you are a parent access school, the 1.05 was already released. That basically moved the class schedule to kind of its own detailed view of the schedule screen. It kind of made it a little easier to view on that schedule. The 1.06 enhancement coming soon is going to give an assignment search, so you can search for classes by assignment name and date. It's also going to show that late indicator on that assignment view, and it's also going to have under My Account what's new on the app, so that you can click on the My Account and you can see all of the new features that have been added to the app. Also, future plans are to have a dark mode option. Ooh, that'll be exciting. And now at this point in time, there's over 104,000 active users that are on the Progress Book Parent Student app. The App Store ratings continue to be strong. So, that's another thing in your district, get those people on that app. It puts it right at their fingertips, and, everybody's using their phone for everything. So, have them start downloading that app. So if you have any issues or concerns or enhancement requests about the app, let us know, and we'll make sure to share that with Frontline as well. But seems to be the Frontline app is going strong. I want to talk just a little bit about tickets. We always like to remind people about Help Desk. For those of us that are down here in the South at the Heartland location, Help Desk now is about 1.5 years old for you. We are still getting used to this Help Desk philosophy down here. But I want to kind of tell you that it is very important that we are entering tickets. As emails get sent to us, you may notice that we are forwarding those to the Help Desk. There's multiple reasons why we do this. And we've shared this slide before. It's about us. It's not about you. Okay. So a lot of times when we put in a ticket, if I am out of the district or Bethany is out of the district, we cover for each other. We all cover for each other. We're a team. So it allows us to say, hey, Bethany's out. Leslie, can you look at this? And I can. So that's the beauty of it, is that somebody's always watching that Help Desk. It also allows us to track our work, and we can use it as a resource. So if I know that there was a ticket that someone was working on and it's the same issue, then I can go look at that ticket, and it helps me solve your problem better. So it's kind of a resource for our team. We aren't keeping score of how many times people put in tickets. Like I said, it's about us. So start using that Help Desk, just studenthelp@neonet.org. You can email that. It creates that ticket. If someone picks up the ticket, and it's happened to Bethany and I have worked together for years. If someone says, hey, Bethany normally helps me with this, or Bethany and I talked about this yesterday, I'm going to say, it's quite fine. I will send that ticket to Bethany. Bethany and I communicate constantly all day long. So if there's a situation where you would rather work with Bethany or you would rather work with me, just say so. We gladly will transfer those tickets to whoever you want to work with. But then we have that resource to look at to know what each other fixed if it happens to another district that we get a ticket on. We do really, really appreciate the feedback. If you get that little survey at the end, if there's something positive that came out of that ticket, or even negative, we all need to improve too. We appreciate those survey comments. We appreciate the positives more than the negatives, but we do appreciate that feedback. We're always monitoring phone calls, tickets, and emails. But honestly, we look at that Help Desk first. That's where we go first. So, those of you who, you may still just be sending that email to someone individually, make sure you're kind of gravitating toward making that ticket, sending that to that student help. That's going to help everybody in the process. Anything you want to add to that, Bethany?
No, I just think that I know when I was in district, I always felt uncomfortable putting in tickets because I always felt that it reflected that it was about me. I just want to ensure you that it's not about you and how many tickets you put in or what questions you ask. It's really so that we can work together on this side to make sure if one person's asking a ticket question, then probably everybody needs to know. We go back and look at those for meetings like this. We go back and look at those for enhancement requests. And it's just very important to also track what we're doing, how much work we're doing. Are Leslie and I overwhelmed? We can say we're overwhelmed until we're blue in the face, but unless we have a bunch of tickets, it's not going to matter. So I just want to reiterate, the tickets is very helpful, not only for you, but it's very helpful for us. And it is not a reflection of anything that you're doing at your district.
100% agree. And that's another thing that, as we we're trying to get better as far as putting in tickets if we get an email. That way we have that tracking system too. So that's going to happen more too. So you may email me directly and you're going to get that ticket back too. That's going to happen more and more as we're starting to get everything into that help desk. Okay, our next slide, we're talking about open labs, and I think Bethany's going to take this one.
So yes, we have a bunch of open labs that are available, and those are going to be at the Neonet office and the Heartland offices. But what we want to make sure that you understand is the open labs are an excellent opportunity for you to know that Leslie and myself are available to you during these times if you want to pop over our way, and we can sit down and work with things with you individually. That could be just cleaning out your staff and your student records. That could be working on your parent access with you. Many things, including even setting up your page for your parent access. So these are open labs. We are here regardless of whether you come or not. So we welcome you to come and keep us busy. These are labs that are available. Just please go to our website and sign up for them. If you have issues, if you just want to reach out to us, we'll also register you. You do get credit for attending an open lab, but these are labs where you can come in and just work with us individually and get some individual attention. We have approximately 3 or 4 a month. So these are always available at Neonet. The first Wednesday of every month is an all-dayer. I am here on Wednesdays every week to make sure that I'm available for these labs in different meetings like this. We have the open labs through April on here. Our next roundtable is going to be April 23rd. That'll be from 9 to 10. Dazzle then will immediately follow our spring gradebook roundtable. And then on April 7th is our educational operations meeting. That's called our Ed Op. That's where our director will go over changes, things that we're doing here at Neonet, and kind of loop you in on that information. On our April 23rd meeting, we'll give you a couple more open labs that are available. If you have any questions during May or June that you'd like to pop in on that Wednesday, just let us know, and we're happy to make sure that we can let you know that that lab is open and request it. And then we will have the the fall September roundtable date for you at the next roundtable. We usually wait and talk to the Dazzle team to make sure that we have everything together. But these are important dates for you. If you have any questions, please let us know. And we're happy to help you.
And that's another thing too. You'll see at the Heartland location, I'm kind of tagging in on some stuff that student information is having. Jackie's having some open labs for different things, but also down here at the Heartland location, if there's a time when you want to set up to come in and work on something, just reach out to me. We can set something up for sure. We can keep some flexibility in our schedule to make time for whatever you guys need. Okay. Any questions, concerns? Other than you're ready for spring, I'm ready for spring. If not, we will see you in the spring. Bethany and I will hang around. If there's any comments or anything that pops up on chat, we will send out the notes and everything here a little later this week once everything dies down, and we'll make sure that that recording is available too. So if you have any questions, let us know. If not, thank you for attending, and stay warm, everybody.
Awesome job, Leslie.
Thank you.
By the way, I'm very happy all the bugs are dying. Just saying that out loud.
All the physical bugs and the sick bugs.
Correct. I mean, seriously, the kids have been home for like 5 days straight, right? Yeah. So maybe that'll knock this out. I'm hoping.
I was just sad to see so much snow in my vacation location of Destin. I cannot imagine being at Destin and there being that much snow. It just, that's disheartening.
I think they're doing awesome. I mean, I did see somebody say that they were panic buying down there. So they're not sure what to do, but they at some point I have a feeling they were Northerners or something.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
Yep.
All right. I'm signing off.
We'll see you later.
All right, talk to you later. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye.